Hey everyone, Wizards released an article talking a little bit about Phandelver and the Shattered Obelisk adventure that's coming up, so I figured we could take a look at it together and see what we can make of it. So first, looks like we get a little bit of a background. Nestled in the northern region of the Sword Coast lies the frontier town of Fandolin, a rough and tumble settlement of hardy folk. A hotspot for adventurers located just south of Neverwinter, was abandoned for centuries following its destruction at the hands of a horde of monsters, but has recently been resettled. I think most probably know that Fandolin is this town from the starter set for 5th edition, so it is anyone who got their start with 5th edition or was around when it was first released. This is the key town that has been out there ever since. I really like the idea that they're building a larger campaign around this town. I think I look at it kind of like the Nenter Vale from 4th edition, where it's a nice little small location that you can use that has a lot of the key things that you need for a D&D adventure, and so you can use that without having to be overwhelmed with having to learn everything in the Forgotten Realms or whatever other setting that you're going to be in. It's just this nice little small town, and there's some open areas around it that you can use to stage some different kinds of adventures. So I'm really excited to see what this new adventure is going to look like. So let's keep going. Hub of exploration in previous adventures, and then returns in Phandelver and below the Shattered Obelisk, which is not coming out until September 19th, I believe it was. It updates and expands Lost Mine of Phandelver adventure into a full-fledged campaign where the party will contend with forces seeking to turn the town into a capital of an evil empire. Keep reading for a guide on the town and what you can expect. So, what is Phandelver, the Shattered Obelisk? So here you kind of have a nice little aerial view of the town, which is kind of nice to see the elevation and how it's sitting amongst the mountains. And so it's not just farmland around it. It actually has some hills, which can be fun to try to play with if you're trying to get some good terrain for some encounters. So I like that. I like when you can have those types of views and you get a little better feel for what the location looks like. So there it is, September 19th. Kicks off in Fandolin in nearby countryside, where a corrupting power unleashes psionic goblins and other horrors you'll face off against. So psionics, I know I hear a lot of people talk about psionics. I have like hardly any or no experience with psionics, so I don't really know, other than hearing people say that it's never been done right or it's very rarely done correctly. So I don't really know what that is. I'm interested to find out. For whatever reason, it's just not been a thing that I've come across a whole lot in my games. So, but clearly it's going to be something that's big here with these obelisks and whatnot. So I'm interested to see. Expands on the beloved Lost Mine of Phandelver adventure. Full-length campaign that takes characters from 1st to 12th level. You'll unearth secrets about the mysterious obelisks that have cropped up in so many 5th edition adventures and that expose Fandolin to its greatest threat yet. And then you can pre-order. And here we get another picture, which is nice. So there's a house up on this mountain here with a path leading to it. And it's interesting structure for these buildings, these like A-frames. So that's I just like when you get this artwork where you can kind of get a different perspective on these towns. So that's nice. And I don't know if that's new artwork or if this is artwork that's been out there. Just I haven't come across it before. Brief history of Fandolin. To understand the ins and outs of Fandolin as it currently stands, we need to go back more than 500 years to the formation of the Phandelver Pact. I don't think this is in the maybe this was in the starter set and I just don't remember, but I'm sure it was, because the Wave Echo Cave and some of that, I'm sure some of this was in there. But during this period, dwarves and gnomes agreed to share the rich resources of the Wave Echo Cave, a wondrous cavern filled with magical power in close proximity to Fandolin. They allied with humans and created a forge that could be used to craft magic items. This alliance allowed Fandolin to flourish into a bustling hub of economic prosperity. I seem to recall that in the backstory for Lost Mine of Phandelver. Good times didn't last. Evil wizards allied with force of orcs, giants, and other enemies in an attempt to seize Wave Echo Cave and its riches. The ensuing battle between the members of the Phandelver Pack and the attacking band of mercenaries caused cave-ins and resulted in the location of Wave Echo Cave being lost. Yeah, that's so. I'm going to keep reading because I have some thoughts here, but I want to understand a little bit more about where they're going with this, because this does sound like what we had in in Lost Mine of Phandelver. So the town was ruined and has habit abandoned settlements. The town remained abandoned for hundreds of years until the last 3 or 4 years, settlers from Neverwinter and Waterdeep began to reclaim the ruins, creating a new settlement that attracted farmers, woodcutters, fur traders, and prospectors. However, the lack of a local lord or authority has drawn in bandits, brigands, and notably the Red Brands. They extort and bully the people of Fandolin. So here we get our nice map of Fandolin. This is the same map that we had in Lost Mine of Phandelver. But you can kind of see the it's a nice little town to start an adventure. When you're just starting with like new players who have not played with the game before, or you're new to 5th edition, or it's just it's nice to have a very contained area to work with. And so here you have all the different buildings that have all the different things that you might have. You think of someone who wants to play D&D, and they have this vision in their head of just kind of it being free form, where they could just say, hey, I'd like to go do such and such, and you could picture them in town saying, I want to go buy a weapon, or I want to go see if there's a blacksmith, and those sorts of things. This town has all those things in it. So when you can easily say, yes, let's go do that. And you have a smithy, and you have a shop, and you have a tavern, and all those things. And with some backstories to it to help you role play that stuff. So it's a really nice little town to work with. And then, like I was saying before, with it being kind of out in the away from everything else, but you've got some good terrain around it in the form of hills and forests and things that you can do other types of adventures. You can do just some random encounter type things, just to kind of get everybody familiar with the rules of the game. So it's got a lot going for it. I definitely like the town. And the fact that it has the backstory where it's only really been settled in the last few years is another advantage for a dungeon master, because you don't have hundreds of years of history and lore that you've got to try to commit to memory in order to play this town. There's the long history of the dwarves in this mine and all those things, but in reality, everybody that's in this town only just got to this town, and so you can customize it and make it your own, and that's perfectly fine, because it's only been there for a few years. So whatever you decide to do with it is really pretty much going to be okay, because there hasn't been anything established beyond that. So lots of great stuff with this town. This looks like a lot of, I guess this is more physical description. Nestled in rocky foothills of the snow-capped Sword Mountains, consist of 40 to 50 simple log buildings, some crumbled stone ruins surrounding the newer houses, shops, and how it must have been a much larger town in the past. Residents are hardworking folks, farmers, stonecutters, blacksmiths, traders, prospectors. So you can see how you got a lot of things that you can cover in there. And the fact that there's no official government either, so you don't have to worry about the players needing to try to follow any rules, or for you as the DM to have to try to follow along with any special rules about, like in Waterdeep, there's a whole protocol of how things work there. You don't have any of that here. You just it's as close to just a blank slate as you can get but it has a lot of cool stuff to help get you started, a nice foundation to build on. Far from a thriving metropolis, Fandolin is everything a band of burgeoning adventurers needs for questing. Here's a glimpse of some of the locations. So here you go. Yeah, you got the different locations in the town and who the proprietor is of those locations, as well as what the location does. So, and I'm going to flip over real quick to the Lost Mine of Phandelver, because I'm curious, because you can see we got the same name. So, the innkeeper and Elmar Barthen owns the trading post. And there's a little bit of, there's some stuff from Lost Mine of Phandelver where they've got some quests that they can give to the party. So, in here, but then it gives you some stuff about role playing. So this is from Lost Mine of Phandelver, and gives you information about, cause it's designed for somebody who's new to it. So you can, see how this is going to supplement that. You just get a little bit of that same information here. Adventure destinations near Fandolin. Travelers leaving Fandolin can reach 2 of the major cities on the Sword Coast. The city of Neverwinter, referred to the Jewel of the North, is accessible with a few days. High Road can also be used to travel south to Waterdeep, but that's much farther away. Those looking to go to the Tribor Trail and can hit the town of Tribor, which was featured in Storm King's Thunder. I don't know what other adventures it might have been in, but that's the one I know it from. It's one of the towns you can start that adventure in. So you're relatively close to that, which actually I have a map of the Sword Coast. So why don't I pull up that real quick so we can take a peek at that. Here is the Sword Coast, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see where Fandolin is, and it is way down over here, and you can see Neverwinter is just up the road on the high road, and then Tribor is across the Tribor Trail over to the east, and you've got the Sword Mountains right to the south of it, and Cryptgarden Forest, the Mirror of Dead Men. Neverwinter Wood is a little bit to the north. So all these things come into play during some of the Lost Mine of Phandelver. So they're familiar names, but, just kind of wanted to show roughly where it is on the map. So that's kind of what you're looking at right there. Beyond being a hub for trade in the wilderness, Fandolin is also a hub for adventure. So then we're going to go into a couple things. Wave Echo Cade, Abandoned Mind, Lost Centuries Ago. Prospectors have combed the region for hundreds of years, seeking to find the entrance and riches. So a lot of this sounds like Lost Mine of Phandelver. This is obviously the where you finish up that adventure. And that's kind of the main focal point. Contend with ghouls and ochre jellies. Cragmaw Castle, another location from Lost Mine of Phandelver. Gangs of brigands, all other dangers lurking in the area. Devious clan of goblinoids called the Cragmaw plot to destabilize the area. They have hideouts spread around the region. Discover that all is not well with the goblins. And then Icespire Hold. So this was another one of the starter sets where you had the Dragon of Icespire Peak, was a different starter set. Features the location Icespire Hold, a ruined fortress perched on the northeast spur of Icespire Peak, which has recently become home to the young white dragon Cryovane. This new powerful apex predator has upset the balance of the surrounding ecosystem, causing orc hordes to migrate, manticores to abandon their lairs, and other monsters in the region become displaced from their homes. Naturally, this has dire consequences for the town of Fandolin, located just 30 miles from the Dragon's Roost. So I imagine these creatures are going to be overrunning the town. And then it goes into, there is a video that goes into a little bit about this adventure. I watched this video already, and it's Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, and they're talking about not only this adventure, but some of the other ones. So I'm not going to watch it here, but it does have some information on it. And that looks like it is pretty much it. So here's what I'm a little concerned about something, and what I don't know, and I'm going to scroll back up to the top here. I really like Fandolin. I think it was a great town that they set up for the starter set, and it's a great place for new players and for adventure. Lost Mine of Phandelver is a wonderful adventure, not only for new players but just in general. Just it's set up really well. From what I'm reading here, though, I'm curious because it says Phandalin has been a hub for exploration in previous adventure and returns in Phandelver and below. The book updates and expands the Lost Mine of Phandelver. So, and it's going to take you from level 1 to level 12. So I'm speculating, and if anybody's heard this already, and I just haven't heard it, that this new book is actually going to be Lost Mine of Phandelver plus more stuff. That's the impression I get, because it says that it updates and expands Lost Mine of Phandelver. So, and since Lost Mine of Phandelver is something that takes you from level 1 to, level 3 or whatever, I'm presuming that that you're basically going to get Lost Mine of Phandelver plus then more stuff to get you up to level 12, which is great. I like the idea of expanding on it, but with so many people, we're 10 years into D&D here, so it's pretty likely that most of the people that are playing the game now have probably played Lost Mine of Phandelver. So, and a new adventure module where the first, few chapters of it are actually an adventure that we already have that's already been published. Not too crazy about that. I feel like they could have just, just made something new, just make a whole new adventure that starts at level 1 and takes place in Phandelver. It doesn't have to be the same one. Now, I don't know, maybe that's not what they're going to do with it. Maybe it is actually going to be all new, but the way it's written here, it sounds like it's going to be Lost Mine of Phandelver and then, 10 more levels worth of stuff. So, But we'll see. I am excited to get more stuff in Phandelver. I think Lost Mine of Phandelver is one of the best 5th edition adventures, and I certainly appreciate the notion of expanding on that and doing something more with it. I like the idea that in the other adventure there's been these obelisks that now you can kind of bring it together into a cohesive story and tie all that stuff in together. I think that's pretty cool. But we'll see how it goes. I just wanted to take a look at it together and see what we thought. I like seeing some of those, like the artwork I was showing with where you see kind of the distance view of the town from above, get a feel for what it looks like and some of the terrain around there. I like the town itself. I hope that they do a good job expanding it. I hope the additional chapters they have are good. If my biggest complaint is that the first few chapters are actually Lost Mine of Phandelver, then, that's not the worst thing, as long as the rest of it is pretty good. And it says that they're updating it, so maybe that means there's going to be a few surprises even in that section of the book. So time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see what it looks like. So I'm actually excited about this one. I've the last several books that I've seen out there, I've not actually gotten. I think Dragonlance was the last one I got, and that wasn't really because I wanted it. It was more because I wanted to test out the whole process of getting the digital license and the physical book and see how that process worked. The Dragonlance book itself is fine, but this is the first one in a while that I'm actually kind of excited to see what it looks like, and I hope that it lives up to some of my expectations. But we will see. So let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Are you excited about this one? What do you think about Lost Mine of Phandelver? Do you have similar concerns to what I was talking about here with this one, or some things that maybe I didn't have all the information? So share all that down in the comments. Love to hear from everybody as always. Until next time, take care.